I seen Poor Man Printing do a video earlier, and I'm just going to tie some other dots in there because BitBoy said the same thing about a couple months back. And he had spoke about how he missed that investment. Then I want to talk about Darwin Cook, the Batman Black and White, and to give you a little backstory on Darwin Cook and why that is a badass collectible, why Darwin Cook is a badass, rest in peace, and why the little controversy behind that, and why you should grab the Darwin Cook. No financial advice, but definitely collector advice. Okay, so then after that, we will dive into one of the revealed brands. I'm going to dive into something that Taps Trading, Taps Trading, something that he stated in one of his videos, and I'll show you guys a little rabbit trail. As you know, I've been in augmented reality for some years, but I want to show you guys what you could possibly see with that. Here we go. So first, let's read. Let's read this. Okay. Where's it at? Okay, here we are. And this was, what date is this? March 21st, 2021. Let's read this article. Ecomi has an already active app called Veve that sells digital collectibles. Veve reportedly has partnerships with comic book franchises such as Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, as well as sports leagues like NFL and Major League Baseball, MLB. So, that's something I had read back in March, and then I believe this is actually a snippet from, this is actually an excerpt from a quote from a video that BitBoy Crypto did on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. Let's cut to that.
Coming in at number 2, another project I'm kicking myself over is Ecomi. We held a sponsored AMA on my Telegram group, the Bit Squad, a few weeks ago on OMI. Did I buy some? No. They actually offered me a sponsored review as well. Did I do it? No. Just sometimes I find myself regretting my life decisions. Yes. Ecomi has done a mind-blowing 46,000% return in the last year. I can't even wrap my brain around that. In the last week, it's done a 315% return alone. And when you pull up the most searched projects on CoinGecko, Ecomi is right now at the top, followed by Harmony One and Chili's. So let's talk Ecomi and why it's so big. Ecomi already has an active app called Veve. It's a digital collectibles app. It already is a working product, and according to Bitcoin.com, has a ton of active partners, including, and listen to this, Batman, Superman, Harley Quinn, Wonder Woman, Ultraman, which of course I'm very familiar with, Back to the Future, the freaking NFL, MLB, Ghostbusters, and more. Absolutely insane.
Welcome back to Poor Man Printing, guys. Major League Baseball is coming to Veve. Ask me how I know.
Okay, so there we have it. So then we got that, and then we got Poor Man Printing, connecting his dots. So I'm just tying it all in for you guys. Then after that, what do we have? I want to go into this. That's the one I'm talking about right there. Darwin Cook is the second one in that lineup. I also want to show you guys a quick description of Darwin Cook. I mean, he was a rebel, man. Darwin Cook was a rebel. He actually got blackballed from Marvel. Darwin Cook believed in preserving the true, what he felt like was the true energy and aesthetic of comic books. He felt like a lot of the comic book writers were getting up in age, turning into 40, 50-year-old men, and they were also writing comic books. So the writers of comic books, as they got older, the storyline started to appease more to the 30, 40-year-old, 40, 50-year-old comic book reader. And from Darwin Cook's perspective, Darwin felt like, he felt like that was bullshit, and he was very vocal about it, Darwin definitely did some stuff for DC, as we see inside of the Veve app with the black and white Batman. Darwin passed away May 14th, 2016. His spouse, which is his widow that he left, Marsha Cook, she's still alive, and I'm very sure she's aware of every kind of, perspective that Darwin had, and she still pushes that envelope. We could get into that as well, but Marsha Cook, let's go to the recent news, and you'll see. Marsha Cook, there's Veve NFT back in March 12. I remember I read about this, and a lot of people have as well. But I'm gonna give it to you guys that don't really know, or some people that came in after this drop, came in after March. I'm gonna give you guys a heads up on it and why I have a good amount of Batmans. And after I make this, I'm gonna go buy me one more Darwin Cook before I post this video, because I know you guys are gonna go buy it after this, which is all good. But let's read this. Darwin Cook's widow asked DC not to use her husband's work in Batman NFT crypto art. Darwin Cook's widow, Marcia, is taking a stand against her late husband's art being used for NFT cryptocurrency. Following DC licensee Veve's announcement of a new line of Batman black and white digital statues tied to NFT non-fungible token authentication, the widow of Darwin Cook has asked DC not to use images created by her late husband as a basis for NFT crypto art. NFT crypto art has been a recent topic of controversy due to the large environmental costs of producing NFTs. Marcia Cook, who manages Cook's estate, previously stated on Twitter, and we'll read that a little bit later, previously stated on Twitter that she did not approve of the use of her husband's art for the NFT crypto art, citing the environmental costs associated with it. Back briefly to put notice up that I will not be participating in NFT crypto art. It's an environmental disaster, and you shouldn't participate either. Cook posted on her previously dormant Twitter account, "Consider this legal notice that no Darwin Cook artwork that I have control of will be offered as NFTs, and any that appear are with the objection of his estate." Her Twitter thread continues, "I will reconsider this at a point where the environmental issues has been addressed." So I don't know if you was in the community at this time, but I was in the community at this time. What we did at the time, these Darwin Cooks were just sitting in the marketplace. They were kind of like, you know, they weren't the ones that everyone wanted out of the black and white series. As you guys know today, what's the main ones that everyone talks about? It goes without saying, but the Darwin Cooks were just sitting there. And no one wanted them. Everybody was like, hey, they're not selling out. What's up with that? No one wants them. And everyone's in the comments talking about it, right? So what happened is Martha Cook came out, and she was on Twitter, and that was like the pump. It was like right in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like February had just hit with the whole crypto Bitcoin boom. Everyone was jumping into different projects. Gary Vee had just came out and started talking about NFTs. And then we seen her coming saying these things about Veve. So everyone's looking to see what's legit and what's not legit. So we got on, when we read the line of her tweet that said, "I will reconsider this at a point where the environmental issues had been addressed." I don't really know if Veve was the zero emissions, you know what I mean? No carbon footprint NFT slogan. I believe they came out with that slogan like a little bit after that. And I could be wrong, so you could double check, but I do remember hearing it. And the reason why I say that is because once that came about, we started jumping in the comments and talking to Martha and trying to engage with her and try to get her to understand a little bit more about Veve. We tried to get her to understand a little bit more about NFTs, as well as how everything didn't have to come with such a big carbon footprint. And then, so then Ecomi came with this slogan of, you know, the whole zero emission thing. And yeah, and then I didn't really hear about it after that. I'm going to go to the tweet and I'm going to read it and let you guys dive into it. But it kind of got swept under the rug. I haven't really heard about it, but what actually happened from my end, looking at the NFTs, the Darwin Cooks just like literally got swept up, and they're still very affordable. If you look at the account, how much they, you look at the amount that was released, it's a common, but I also think that you guys are sleeping on that one, man. The nicest girl ever, and this was her. So then look at this. Yeah, everyone's on it, man. It's like, thanks for the pump. Owe me to the moon. 3D Mint Labs, so they know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I remember Sneck Step when he was, I remember reading this, but it's like, you've been informed badly and don't take into account all of the resources used in creation of physical figures and printing of comics. All those factories and printers use more resources than a blockchain and expel massive amounts of trash and pollution. So you had a lot of people kind of mad about it. And then yeah, let's see. So then somebody talks about Veve here. It's like, you have definitely been misinformed, as the blockchain hosting the Batman collectibles, GoChain, is actually one of the most energy-efficient blockchains available. The company Veve producing the collectibles has also spent millions of dollars to maintain carbon neutrality. Okay, let's see when this launched. Yeah, March 18th, PR Web. So I think they kind of countered her tweets bashing Veve with this whole new like gasless kind of vibe. One thing about Darwin Cook too is like people would even bash his not so much bash, but like it wasn't in alignment with what the comic book world was trying to do. You know, there's a lot of politics that go on in that comic book world, and the collectors really know about these politics. Just like, for example, I don't want to jump into that, but like there's other politics with Alfred Kahn where, you know, we here in America, we can say like, oh, Alfred Kahn is behind Pokemon and this and this and that, right? But then you have this big crowd of people that were into anime, that you have this guy coming along, taking something that exists. Of course, it's all legal, and he's actually buying the licenses and things like that to actually change the name and rebrand it, right? But what do you think the people that grew up on Pocket Monsters, how do you think they feel about watching Pokemon and seeing the anime changing? You know what I mean? So you have the original people that grew up on Pocket Monsters, the original people that grew up on Pocket Monsters. From their perspective, they're like Alfred Kahn single-handedly destroyed anime. so I'm not saying I agree with those sentiments. I'm just explaining to you that in this world of designing and these comic book covers and just, you know, brands like this as far as anime goes, there's a lot for the collectors. There's a lot of little nuances and little things here and there that the back and forth that people don't know about, you know, like how we can get into the politics of like two licenses may approve, but they're like, hey, we don't want to see these two licenses stand next to each other, as we've all talked about before in the past, of saying like, oh, I don't want Incredible Hulk next to fucking who knows, Mickey Mouse or some shit, I don't know, for example. And then you can have those two brands that like don't, you know, they'll agree with Ecomi, but they don't want to be positioned right next to each other because one might, you know, outweigh the other. I don't fucking know. Okay, now let's continue. It's like Ritesh Writers, he's like, so are we going to talk about how DC is trying to make NFT money off of the work of Darwin Cook, who is no longer with us, while his partner and estate are vehemently opposed to such discretions of his legacy? ? Because it is fucking vile and disgusting on every possible level. And then you had Newsarama drop some stuff. Let's see if we can open that one up. But yeah, let's keep going. Which brings us to DC. Specific case I was thinking of was Darwin Cook's widow, Marcia, who handles Darwin's estate, artist, and who did not give permission for DC to use his name or work in an NFT release in collaboration with Veve. I just bought my first NFT off Veve. I bought a number 42 Darwin Cook. Fire to the planet. Well, that sounds completely fucking stupid, as if we needed further proof DC is listing rudderless managerially. Fuck this. Jesus Christ, no. This is dumb and dangerous. Burning down 500 acres of the Amazon rainforest every day for a receipt that says you are the owner of this shitty black and white rendering of Batman? Twitter makes billions a year on what you think and write. Even the human mind can have a currency equation. Digital-only statue. You mean a picture? Not even. Fuck no. DC Comics, please no. I'm sorry if it's annoying for me to ask you, but I'm confused from the reading I've tried to do. Is this NFT sales model essentially saying that if artists sell via NFT, that art is owned by the buyer and the artist can't make/sell additional prints, essentially? But I actually physically own all of these statues. All 4 exist currently inside my house. Why do I need one that doesn't exist? Wow. So look, everyone talks about the NFT boom has crashed, right? Look at all of these perspectives. These are all real collectors. These are the collectors that everyone talks about when we say, just wait until all of those real geek cultures come and they, you know, and they're promoting this and they're buying all of these collectibles. Imagine the people that really spend money on the black and white Batman series. Imagine the people that really spend money on the Ron English. Imagine the people that really spends money on physical Kripkins, you know? But I mean, look at this. This is why everyone talks about mass adoption. This is why everyone talks about it's just the beginning. The NFT bubble hasn't popped because there's no mass adoption. The reason they keep on saying that everyone on the app is just like Caval said. Shout out to Caval Anderson. My bad, Caval. Mr. Anderson. I remember he said one time that, you know, none of this app isn't even for us. It's made for collectors by collectors. If anyone has physical collectibles, you know, in some sort, as far as these toy concepts go, sculptures, 3D sculptures. If you have these, then hey, it's made for you. You just so happen to be into crypto as well. But the majority of the people aren't into crypto, don't understand this digital thing, don't understand the NFT thing. And from that perspective, we are in a bubble. We are in a bubble of the understanding of what NFTs and crypto is, which is why we are early. But mainly what people, the majority of society, is just now getting on the wave of investing, let alone a whole new asset class like NFTs. You know what I mean? The majority of society just now seen, they just now heard about Robinhood. They just now downloaded that app and they're trying to buy some Ethereum or they're trying to buy into Bitcoin because they heard about what happened back in February. So with the GameStop and all of this stuff, right? So the buzz of the GameStop and investing, all of that took place. And when all of that took place, if you're watching this video, you were already like, oh, we're going into crypto. And you just dive deeper into crypto. But the majority of the world is not deep into crypto like us right now. And this is what I'm basically reading. We're reading the perspectives of now we have like all of these different, this is back in March, April, May, June, just 3 months ago. Literally, because today's June 12th. So these are from March 12th, right? So just 90 days ago, I guarantee you the perspectives of some of these people have changed, but not a lot of them, because a lot of them don't even really know what it is. They didn't continue on diving into these subjects. They just go back to their lives. They see this and they're like, what? DC releasing 3D collectibles of some shit that I already have? Fuck this shit. And that's all it is. But let's continue. But I actually physically own all of these statues. All 4 exist currently inside of my house. Why do I need one that doesn't exist? Because then you'd own the concept of owning them or something with magic, useless math tokens, I think, in a completely private public ledger, then runs on burning endangered species. Wow. No. Horrible fucking shit. Fuck this. Stop. For fuck's sake, DC Comics. For a Batman endeavor, that's a bad guy move. Why not just make a real tangible statue that's a limited edition and isn't killing the planet? Veve has been offering DC statue NFTs for quite a while. This Batman is not the first. He was trying to snitch on us right there. Cool, I just saved this image to my computer. Now I own it. Can someone send me money? Boycott NFTs. We're all fucking doomed. Well, now these knobs have a legitimate real-world Bruce Wayne does more harm than good to society example that they could point to. Didn't have Batman sets the planet on fire on my 2021 checklist, but here we are. God damn you, DC. The American hustle had to have been the most cursed lifestyle humanity ever created. This is not cool. The rich guy superhero is crypto now. Okay, that's very on the nose, but you still aren't helping anyone at all. Where's Poison Ivy? When you need her. So, hey, we have 5G. Let's go and see if they're still on the Omi train. 5G. They're not on the Omi train. Yeah. Fuck your crypto art. Oh, wow. That's how you feel? Wow, this is what they're saying NFTs is going to do to the world. I'm just clowning, guys. So, I mean, I definitely think that, I don't really know what's the latest with that, but it's either going to get pulled or she's either going to get it pulled in the future because she owns the estate, or she's not going to get it pulled. And, you know, you guys should definitely check. I'm going to shoot to it. We're going to cut to a video right now so you can get some perspective on who Darwin Cook is. He is literally a gem. His perspective, his mind on things. He's so far ahead of his time. Even all of this digital stuff, he believed in the young creators. He believed in the young illustrators. And from that perspective, they boycotted him, man.
I've spoken with both Michael Allred and Dave Sim about you specifically and said you're the guy to go to for an interview in regards to a very specific question about what's right and what's wrong with the industry.
Right. Well, you know, what's wrong, you know, I'll try to deal with it as quickly as possible. In the late 70s, all the comic fans decided to get into the business. The problem is it was a bunch of superhero fans. And an industry that had, up until that point, catered to almost every genre imaginable, slowly was narrowed down and boiled down to a point where it's superhero comics, and that's all there were. And then they all were writing these comics for each other, not for a mass market, not for young people. And as they aged, the content aged to suit their needs. And the idea is, you know, when you're an adult, you're supposed to turn to other forms of entertainment, maybe, or appreciate comics for what they were. But that hasn't been the case. So now we have superheroes that rape. We have our heroin addicts. We have all this kind of bullshit that's been heaped on to these characters that were meant to entertain kids and give them a little sense of right and wrong and adventure. And I think it's so sad. And you see what the strategy has done. It's driven a market. Like in 1972, Jimmy Olsen comics sold 200,000 copies a month, and it was canceled because that wasn't enough to keep it going. These days, the best-selling book can barely scrape past 70,000. Never mind the worst-selling books. So let's take a look at that strategy that's been applied to this business. How'd it work out? Not too good. And the less people that read them, the more expensive they have to be, and the more cryptic they have to be to cater to that tiny little market that they've got. That's what's wrong. And if you couple that with the fact that they've completely ignored digital, you know, because they're terrified of it. Their entire infrastructure is based on print. And so they've completely ignored this other platform. And, you know, I don't know how they're going to pull it back together at this point. I don't think they know either. Now, what's good is the exact opposite. The fact that we're at a point today where anybody, anywhere, can put a comic book together and get it in front of the entire planet without spending a dime on printing or distribution. And that's the good thing, and I think that's what's going to save it. Well, I look at it this way. You know, you can stand in front of a tidal wave and say, I don't see the tidal wave and I don't want to get hit by the tidal wave, but you're still going to get swept away in it. So this tidal wave is here, and you either ride it or let it wash you out. You know, it's not like we can find a way to stop digital from happening. So yeah, you know, you jump in.